G'day guys, welcome back to Marn Time. You're here with Minnie, and I'm joined by a very special guest in Kyle Neven. Kyle, how are you, brother?
Yeah, good, bro. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, bro. Hey, for the people that don't know, brother, who is Kyle and what's Kyle got going on for his life at the moment?
Well, right now I'm a dad. That takes up most of my time. I don't do much else besides dad stuff now.
Yep,
Work for myself. Got my own sort of business going, my own sort of show.
yep,
Run a few of the boys, and that's about it.
sweet. We're in the army, brother. Yeah,
I was.
yeah,
Yeah, a little while ago.
yeah, a little while.
Yeah. No, it was a good experience.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend it to anyone that wants to have a go at it.
Yeah, that's it. For people that don't know, I've known Kyle for what, almost 15 years.
Yeah, getting on there.
It's been a while, eh? It's all right then. So, Kyle, I'm just gonna have a yarn to you, brother. Just what for people that don't know, you done Supercross or motocross?
Yeah.
Yep. You back doing that now?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm stepping back into it.
Yep.
But it's more so because my young fella wants to race now, so
Yep.
that's kind of took me back to it.
Yep. Yeah, and you did it a while ago, didn't you?
Yeah, so I raced from 6 years old till I want to say I was 18. So
Yep.
2011 is sort of when I stopped. That's my last sort of major injury, and that kind of pulled it up.
Yep.
But yeah, so between 6 and sort of that 14 range, it was just like every other family riding, going racing, having a good time. My parents made friends there, so we went there a lot, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And then sort of that 14 onwards, I got started getting sort of noticed by manufacturers and different sort of sponsors, and,
Yep.
and it kind of took a different trajectory, and that was sort of the plan in life, was to go and do that.
Yep.
And then injuries said otherwise.
Yeah. What type of, mental health problem, like not mental health problems, but did those injuries play effect on you because there was such a young age, and I guess you would have had a bit of pressure on you at that point, like the pressure you put on yourself and what you've seen going on around you. Did it cause mental health problems for yourself?
Man, it was it's like any sport. You're trying to recover from something to get back to do what you think is going to be the rest of your life. Like that's the plan, right? You go,
Yep.
you play a sport or ride or whatever your sport is, and you do that with the forethought, or think I'm going to do this for a career and a living. And every time you get hurt, that puts that in jeopardy, right? So then you're sitting on a couch wondering whether or not this is going to continue, or if it's too bad, if you're too hurt, whatever that situation is. So it's a emotional roller coaster, the old being injured when you're not supposed to be, you know what I mean?
Especially at a young age too,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I think the youth thing was good though.
Yep.
Like obviously when you're young, you recover faster. You're not so caught up in world problems, or you don't have kids to worry about or missus to worry about, or you're not worried about providing for these people. My biggest thing was just letting my parents down every time I got hurt. Like you didn't want to let them down because they've put so much effort into getting you to where you need to be.
Yeah, no, I think that just says a lot about yourself, like, you're the type of bloke that just wants to make sure that everybody around him's all good.
Yeah.
Knowing you for a while, that's what it's always seemed like. But can you talk a little bit about like how you come back now, and do you feel like that's making a good impact on your mental health now, like because you get to do it now with your son, and you get to see the impacts that it's going to have on your kids?
Yeah, well, see, my thing was I lost love for it, right? It became a job and not enjoyable.
Yeah.
So every time I was riding, it was to try and get better for a specific reason, right? Where now I can go for a ride with my kid, watch him ride, and watch his progression, and him get better.
Yeah.
And it makes me happy watching him. I'm not out there to ride for me anymore. I'm out there so he can see me ride,
Yeah.
which gives him something to want to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I do it now. So
Yeah.
it's fun. It's like it's no different from any of the old boys going playing resies or whatever. You go back for the love of it because your kid's playing, you end up dragged back out to the sport, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're back around that lifestyle.
Yeah, that's all right. Did you enjoy the environment? Like, do you enjoy back being in that environment as well, like being
Yeah.
around the other families and stuff like that? And
Yeah, it's just a different perspective now.
Yeah.
Like I go there now and I'm a dad, I'm a 50 dad, right? So, and for people that know motocross, being a 50 dad's the worst because the bikes are shit. Nothing ever works how it's supposed to. You're trying to fix something every time they ride them.
Yeah.
They're just not a good thing.
Yeah.
So 50 dads are full on, and then you're chasing the kid around. Every time you crash, you got to pick him up. Like being a 50 dad's it's a different world.
Nah, it's awesome though.
But it's fun, man. It's fun.
I bet it is. Also, another thing that I was going to mention to you is that when you're in the army and you got discharged, were you discharged medically or did you leave on your own accord?
Nah, so I left on my own accord. I had good staff, right?
Yep.
So long story short, I joined. My military career I did nothing really. It wasn't anything spectacular. What ended up happening, long story short, is I went out for a ride and I snapped a femur in two places and then dislocated a hip, tore a hip palate, did an MCL, sort of destroyed my left leg a little bit.
Yep.
And I had some really good staff because at this point I was still what they call green, so I was still very interested in wanting to make that my next sort of career.
Yep.
And what ended up happening was that injury, they were like, oh, you're never going to run again. There's a heap of dramas. Like, it's never going to sort of do what it needs to do. And I had a couple of bosses that kind of went, hey, if you just sort of go this route, do this, and discharge this way, potentially when you're healed, you can get back in. And that was the plan, right? Obviously, things didn't work out like that. And now I'm sort of running my own couple of businesses and that. But yeah, that was the plan originally. That's why I discharged, was from an injury.
Yeah, geez. With all your injuries, did any of that still play a part in mental health for yourself, or have you sort of moved past it because it happened so long ago? Or, you know what I mean? Is it still playing an effect on you now? Or?
Yeah, so it's still, it's like anything. You grow older, and all of the stuff you did when you were young takes toll now.
Yep.
But I ended up with like 31 broken bones. I got 28 screws, some artificial ligaments, tendons, plates, like a femoral nail, like a bunch of injuries and stuff like that. But the worst ones come from when I was army. I fell in a hole with a pack on.
Yep.
And it destroyed 6 discs in my back. So that causes me heaps of dramas. I had an explosive go off near my head, which like kind of messed my hearing up. I normally wear hearing aids, but I couldn't find them today, so that was fun. But yeah, I normally wear hearing aids, so that messed my head up a little bit, as in like my hearing's cooked now. So when I go to sleep, or I can hear this massive sort of this buzzing the whole time. My hearing, I lost 50-something% in one ear and 40-something in the other. So it's like, to relate it back to your question and to mental health, it's just a struggle, like trying to
daily things.
Yeah, just to listen to someone, and then as soon as there's a background noise, I can't hear nothing.
Yep.
So that's annoying, right? And then it makes me feel rude. So then I get self-conscious, and I'm like, does he think I'm being a dick because I can't hear what he's saying, that sort of stuff? But it does, man. And more so cold mornings and that too. Waking up in pain all the time is not a fun time, but you get through it, eh?
Yeah. So being a dad, brother, you know, from when I've known you to being a dad, how has that changed your life?
So dramatically. Yeah. So you were around the boys. It was a good time.
Yep.
But now I've got 5 kids. My oldest is a foster daughter, so I had foster kids as well. At one point I had a small football team in my house, you know. I'd fostered 4 kids and then our 4.
Yep.
So it's just chaos, man.
Yeah.
Organised chaos.
Yeah.
Without me missus, I don't know how I couldn't do it on my own.
Yeah.
It'd turn the shit real quick, but she kind of steers the ship, you know.
She holds it down, eh?
Yeah, I'm more the disciplinary, and she's driving, you know.
That's all right, but you enjoy being a father, bro?
Best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sort of, I think the being a dad took me away from where I was heading. So after I got hurt in 2011, it kind of killed my motocross career. And then years were around, I kind of went off the rails a little bit and sort of went down a path that wasn't going to lead me anywhere that someone would want to go. And then, I think the kids kind of pulled me, or having a kid, finding my missus, and then it kind of pulled me back into line. And then the trajectory completely changed, right? But it's just one of those things. It's testing. Like, it's a full-time job outside of work. And like we were just talking about it before this, having a 13-year-old who's going through testosterone and who's not a little kid, he's a big kid. So he's pushing limits and testing dad and all the same stuff I did to my dad.
Yeah.
So it's just fun, you know?
Yeah, but I guess that's, you know, that's just the way that life's going about now. There's different tests in life, and this is one of them, I guess. As I said, you know, we've known each other for a long time. We've had some good times together, got up to some mischief and stuff like that, but people don't understand. People probably see you people see you in the gym now. You were never you were never a gym person.
No.
I never ever pictured Kyle in the gym.
No, I was 65 kilos and full of rage, you know. I was never going into a gym. But no, the gym sort of saved me heaps, man. I would recommend the gym to people as well. The gym's been phenomenal. Yeah. Yeah, just sort of a in your own headspace, and just lets you go and do something where you're not thinking, right? Yeah. And people find that in all sorts of things, right? Yeah. You find that in fishing, you find that in riding my dirt bike. I'm now find that in riding my dirt bike with my kids. But like fishing, anything on the water, like people find that in all sorts of places. The gym for me is one of those places where you can go to and you start working out and you're just not thinking about nothing. Yep. And that's the beauty of it, right? Yep. I run into you, I have a yarn. I run into Alex, I have a yarn. So I'm not thinking about the rest of my problems. And then as soon as you walk out of there, the real world comes back. With the real world, brother, you know, life's not easy. It's not easy at all. You know, we all have these different, you know, problems and stuff like that. How hard is it not to take those problems home and, as you said, using gym as that outlet, or using motocross as that outlet? You know, you just said that you got a 13-year-old son at the moment who's got testosterone. Is it hard to not take the problems that you've already got going on in your head home with you? Yeah, yeah, it is, man. It's a struggle, right? It's a hard thing it's a hard sort of concept for people to grasp that don't have kids, or misses where you can go home and if you got or had issues through the day, you got shits for the world, whatever, you can just go home and have a fucking drink and a feed, and that leaves you alone, right? But if you've got kids and a missus, you go home with your issues. You can't do that. Yeah,
you got dad duties,
and it's unfair on them for me to come home mad, take it out on the kids or the missus or not be present. And I still struggle with that. Like I'll find myself doing that at certain times. And dude, my dad's done it. Everyone's does it. Everyone's guilty of it. But once you can sort of figure out how to leave that at the front door, makes your life a lot easier. And I struggle, man. So does everyone else.
I can, I have bad days at work, and people that at work, frustrate me or something, and I sit there and I overthink it, and then and then I'll go home and I'll be like, fuck, I don't need to take this home. I've got a beautiful 2-year-old boy, there, and and then he's just full of energy all the time. I'm sure he's got ADHD.
Yeah,
he's just full of energy. He doesn't want to stop.
Yeah,
but it's the best. I love it, man. I love sitting there watching him run around crazy, and I'll jump in too and start running around like crazy. We're in the stages of looking at a house to try and get more room for him, but it's so hard. I didn't picture myself as being a dad.
Mm-hmm.
In that retrospect, I was always known as a bit of a person that was out partying.
An animal.
Yeah, just partying.
Yeah.
I was, like I loved it. I fiend going out and having some drugs or just drinking. And I think I made that sort of my persona in that sense because I didn't want to live in the real world.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want people to view me as someone who is like, I just wanted people to view me as a fun person. Geez, that act got so it got so hard to keep up.
Oh yeah.
It's so hard to keep up an act and not worry about the real world.
Yep.
Because it's always going to catch up to you.
Yeah, it is.
And it's so hard sometimes. But I'm good now. I hardly drink. I don't do any drugs. I've changed my life around. But it's also, and then I sit there and think back. Oh fuck, I did this and this. And I should have done it. But you can't do that.
That'll send you in the circle.
It does. Yeah. Sometimes it does, man. I'll lay there and I'll be like, if I was back in school, I would have done a school-based apprenticeship. And I'm like, no, you idiot. You're 30 now.
Yeah.
Just cut it out, life by the balls, and go.
Yeah. And if you find yourself like chasing that horse, man, it's hard. It's a hard thing, right? If you're doing circles about what you could have changed and that, you're not moving forward, right?
Yeah.
You're stuck.
Yeah.
But as soon as you can pass that, you go wherever.
Oh, that's exactly it.
And people nowadays don't realize that if you get to 20, 25, 30, 35, whatever age you are, if you miss something, the opportunities now to do stuff is huge, right? Which didn't exist when we were kids.
No.
That wasn't a real sort of thing. Right now, people are making money anywhere doing anything. Like, it's phenomenal. And the amount of money out there is crazy.
Yeah, there's ways to make money that we never even thought about. And to think about it, we were 18, we're drinking a lot earlier than 18, but, life changes. You got that stage from high school to 18, there's partying in schools and stuff like that, and then you go, oh, I can go to the nightclubs, and then when you hit that 23, 24, you're just like, I need to start changing.
Yeah.
But for me now, I'm 30, I'm like, I look back on it and I'm like, oh shit, I did some stupid things, but it is what it is, you know what I mean?
I'm grateful for all that shit.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for all the boys that we hung out with, all the boys that we were partying with, because it taught me a lot of life lessons, right? Like, it taught me a lot of things in I don't jump for no reason, right? So if something kicks off, I'm calm in 99% of situations because I've been around some dudes that aren't. And it goes to shit fast, right? So it teaches you life lessons. It teaches you to be aware of your surroundings. If you walk into a room and you can see two people, for example of this, the first night I met my missus, she was standing beside me and I could see something that was happening over there.
Yeah.
So I grabbed her and moved her out of the way. Just didn't even know I moved her out of the way. And then this fight come rolling through where she was standing. And she's like, how do you know that? And I'm like, I've just been around the room, like, it's no stress, it's happy days. And that's what kicked that off. And then we've got kids together and a life together just from something I learned from the boys when I was a younger dude,
Yeah.
And just being around that sort of bit more rowdy as shit. But man, it all teaches you massive life lessons. And them life skills have taught me so much to go into business. So work for yourself is a different world again. But just them skills from being a bit naughty and doing this or doing that, you can pick up on certain vibes, right?
Yeah.
So you go to give Joe Blow in the corner a quote, if they're half shady or if they're not. Like, you can pick up on some stuff, right? And then you can talk to them how they may or may not understand what you're saying. So it makes life a lot easier. There's goods and bads. Like it's not all bad.
It'd be like with the employees that like come in shady one morning and they're dusty, and they're like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I know you're not good.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Oh, I've been there.
How do you go about running your own business, brother? Is it enjoyable, or is it, it's work? It's work at the end of the day, and nobody loves to sit there and work, but some people do, some people don't. But do you enjoy running your own business? Is it a headache, or is it good? Is it simple, or is it?
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. But in saying that, so everyone that grew up around me when I was a young fella, when I stopped racing and sort of went off the rails, for lack of better terms.
Yep.
Me and my dad didn't see eye to eye. Everyone knows this. It was very well.
Very well known.
Yeah, everyone knows. And my dad's not a small man. Like he's a big individual, and I have a big personality. I'm not a big dude, but I thought I was a big dude, and he's obviously a big dude. But me and him work together every day now.
Yep.
So me and him own this business together. We're in business together with which it's called Range Maintenance Group. So it's a small civil construction direct for defence. And it's phenomenal, man. I love it. I go to work every day and I get to spend it with my dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's cool as.
Yeah.
And then I have a second business as well. So when I go, after I finish this job, I'll go do this and I get to spend it every day with Jared, who's one of my best mates since we were kids. So we run that together.
Yeah.
So I've kind of surrounded myself with family and friends in my businesses. And I've got Dan, who I was his best man at his wedding. He works for me. Like I've kind of try and make a point of having family and friends work with me purely for the sake of our friend group, and our circle is very different to most people, right?
Yeah.
If me and you had an issue, I would just tell you.
Yeah, exactly right.
Fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
And then we would be either fine or not, or we would sort it, and it was happy days.
I would end up having a chat.
Yeah.
But that's just how we are.
Yeah.
We'd be like, oh, fuck you. And then about 20 minutes later, after we've calmed down, we'd be like, love you, brother. Yeah. Let's go back to doing what we got to do. And
there's 15 beers in the meantime, we're good to go, right?
Exactly right.
So that's very similar to how we work together. Like that's very similar. If you've done something stupid, I'm going to tell you.
Oh, you're still the boss at the end of the day, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like that because we're surrounded by people that we love, right? So we've got friends and family working with us, and that's how we sort of run it. Is you fucked up, and then you move on.
Yeah.
Man, me and my dad, I'm 32 years old as of Friday. I know I'm getting old. My dad still tunes me about shit all the time. He'll still tell me I'm holding whatever it is. For example, a shifter. You got that shifter around my way. Brother, we've been doing this for a long, and it's just constant, right?
Yeah.
But I love it. Like I'd go to work. I get to work with my dad every day. I get to work with my best mate every day. I get to do these things every day. And that's kind of how I've transitioned my life to be like that.
Yeah.
But back to your question, running my own business is stressful. It is stressful.
Yeah.
It's not a great time all the time.
Yeah.
But there's benefits. There's so many benefits that it makes it worthwhile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's crazy to hear that you're in business with your dad. Like, knowing you, like you and your dad butted heads so much. Like, you know what I mean? But that's awesome to hear though. Like, it just goes to show, like, you and your dad can have a bond. Obviously you want that to be, with your sons and your daughters, and you want to show them that, no matter what happens, they're still your dad and your mum and stuff like that, and you're always gonna have love for them and stuff like that, and you're gonna do whatever you can to help them and stuff. It's just, it'd be a good life lesson for your kids to see that, that we're good.
Yeah, and one day I'll go into depth about all the shit we used to do and why that led to me and my dad not being friends and all that sort of stuff, right? But man, if you look at it from a father's perspective, I would have beat me to death. Like I was naughty, right?
Oh, bro.
And considering my dad wasn't like that, so it was very hard for him to deal with me being naughty. My mum was more naughty than my dad was. She went curl and like, she was wild ass, a bit rowdy, bit of a party. I carried on. But my dad wasn't so much like that. So it was hard for him to deal with, right? And then at 18, when I was really running amok, I was supposed to be going in this direct.
And you're like,
and
you turn, I'm going back.
And you remember I did a year and a half or something partying in a full cast after operation after operation.
Yeah, I don't think there was like a whole year, maybe even close to 2.
Yeah.
He's got a cast on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that cast is still the same. Yeah. And we'd be out partying, drinking, doing the same stupid shit every single week. Fist fight. Yeah, fist fight. Yeah. That's exactly right. I can't count how many times we were out the front of the back.
Yeah.
Or in the taxi rank.
Yeah.
Or down near Maggie or something, bullies. Like we were out, and it was always fist being thrown.
It was
everywhere.
chaos, dude.
It was.
It was a fun time.
It was fun. It was fun. It was very fun.
Yeah, I definitely don't want my kids out there fist fighting every day of the week, but it was fun. It was, and again,
but it was different then. Kids aren't carrying knives. Like people weren't carrying knives and shit. You don't know who you're mucking around with these days.
But in saying that too, your friends wouldn't just leave you there. Like if you were getting the shit pizzled out of you, I know kids that's mates have run away.
Yeah, 100%.
That didn't exist. So if you were getting beat up,
Yep.
your friends would jump in and
Yeah.
help you, which is why now our friend group and other friend groups from
Yeah.
our era have such a tight bond.
Tight bond, yeah.
Because that is what happened.
Yeah, we don't have to see each other every week, but when we bump into each other, it's like we never.
Yeah, correct.
We pick up from where we left off, and I think that's one of the great things about my friendship with you and Jared and all those other boys. If I see them boys, it's just like, fuck, I love you boys. Like the love never will go away. We were all brothers. Like, we can't not be with the amount of stuff we went through.
Yeah.
We went through a lot. You were there when Cody passed. Like we went through that. And it wasn't an easy time for yourself or myself or the people that are around us.
Yeah.
How did that impact you? How did Cody's passing impact you? Because I know you were close. You may not have been around him every single day. There's a lot of people don't know about all the times that you used to go up to Cairns and be in the car together, go up Cairns and go on trips and stuff like that. People didn't see that.
No, and I spent a lot of time with Cody. Our relationship was it was funny, man. Like it was no different to all the boys, but I'd just go to his house on a Friday and then not leave for 2 weeks, and then I wouldn't see him again for a month. And but it was a funny, like our relationship was funny like that.
Yeah.
Or we'd go to town together, and next thing we're in Cairns and we're there for 3 days, and then we come back and I'm at his place for a week, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It didn't made no sense. And a lot of times, a lot of that time was me, Jared, Cody. Like it was a good time, right?
Yeah.
But his passing, I think it messed with a lot of the boys for a long time, because I actually stepped away from a lot of the boys after that.
Yeah.
Just purely because it kind of upset me to a point where I didn't want to see people, because it just reminded me too much of shit. And then I was too young and too immature to deal with it. As all the boys were. Like it wasn't, no one was 30 years old.
You're 23, I was 21. You think about it, 21, we're 9 years, I'm 9 years past that, you're 11 years past that.
Yep.
It's a lifetime ago. This year's 10 years for Cody being gone.
Yep.
Honestly, there's not a time that I don't think about him. Like I always do it. And it's become more manageable in the sense of, I just remember the good times. I do remember that period, but I try to put that period to the back of my brain. I remember just all the fun times that, man, I can sit there and say that it was one of the darkest periods of my adult life, was my best friend not being around. And watching the way people acted as well, people that weren't around him all the time, but just seeing the impact that he made on their lives.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at the start of it, I was like, fuck, he didn't know you. I don't know what he was like outside of what he was in a different circle sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it took a little bit of maturity to understand. He did have other friends. I wasn't his only friend.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's good to see Cody in a different light in people's eyes. You know what I mean? Like that's why I love hearing stories about how you used to do. I wasn't always there, but I was there a lot.
Yeah.
But when you were out doing your own little thing, it's awesome to hear about. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
Knowing that he'd done other things.
And it was Cody was one of those dudes that had 10 friend groups, which doesn't really happen. Not back then anyway. Now it's more popular now.
Yeah.
But he had, you would walk into the bank and he would know all the brothers in the corner. He would know all the white girls over there. He'd know whoever these people over here with 7 sets of glasses on. He just knew all these random people.
Everyone.
And it had a massive effect on people's lives. There's people that I didn't even know knew him at his funeral. And I'm like, I know them from bikes or from this or that or whatever. And I'm like, how the fuck did you know Cody? Oh, I met Cody at the bank this one time and we went to Cairns. Yeah. And I'm like, I've done it. And I spent heaps of time with him.
That's exactly it.
But that's the kind of effect he had on people's lives.
Yeah.
And I think that's why when he passed, it had such an impact, and it messed with so many people's lives, and it for good or bad, right?
Yeah.
And I struggled heaps with it just because I wanted to step away. I didn't want to be around the boys. It just reminded me too much of everything that had happened.
I sit there and I think about the effects of mental health, and for people that don't know, mental health affected Cody, and that was, that's a reason. Mental health, man, it plays a massive part on all our lives, whether we have it on ourselves or not. As a father now, we've got to worry about it with our kids. We've spoken about it in another podcast about kids being a lot more bullying, cyberbullying, and the fact that there's a lot more avenues to bully kids these days. I think the mental health side of things, I think that is a big reason why I do this now, is that why I want to talk about mental health is because of how much it affected me. I knew it always affected me, anxiety and stuff like that, but I didn't understand it. And then with Cody's passing, I didn't want to understand it as well, because it was traumatic for me. It was, I went through a very, very dark stage, a stage where I didn't want to be here myself. But then I, pull myself out of it, and I'm here, and I'm making these changes now. No, I want to talk about mental health, and I want to be able to help the next generation. I don't care if you're 40, 50, 60 years old. If you want to talk about mental health with me, come talk to me. Whether I can lead you on the right path, or whether I can just be ears for you to talk to. That's why I think I'm doing what I'm doing now, and I think Cody's a massive part of that for me. I don't want another one of my friends to have to go through. I don't want another one of my friends' families to have to go through that.
Yeah.
Seeing Danielle every day after it happened. Seeing Nathan, seeing Clinton and Maya and Cody's grandmother. Seeing them go through that, it was such a traumatic experience for myself, and it was horrendous. I hated it. I hate that. I hate that part of my life in that sense. I do, but also it's made me who I am now, and it's making me be well conscious of mental health is a massive thing.
It's dangerous.
It is very dangerous.
It's dangerous, man. Like, great points that you've just raised, right?
Yeah.
So I struggled bad for a period of time. Let's say it was 6 months after Cody passed.
Yeah.
Because I hated him for doing what he did to the boys, to his mum, to his family, to his brother. Like, and I couldn't move past that for a while. Yeah. And the hatred was so strong. Like, why did you fuck all us over?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But again, you're young, immature. You don't know what's going on in the background. You don't really know what's happening. And it doesn't matter. You know how close we all were, man. People have seen things of me that they shouldn't see. People have seen things of other people they shouldn't. Yeah. And we were close as. So it just goes to show that sometimes you don't know what people's demons are. You have no idea what's going on.
Well, how close were we with Cody?
Yeah.
We thought if he could talk to anyone, it would have been us. Yeah. But you don't know how dark and deep those demons are.
And you don't know what he's, for lack of better terms, hiding inside, right? He doesn't want to tell you because he's scared of whether or not he's going to be judged, or whether or not it's going to be X, Y, Z, or whatever. Right. Which wouldn't happen with the boys, but that doesn't change mentality, right? That doesn't change your mindset. Correct. That's all you're thinking. If I tell them this, they're going to think less of me as a person. Correct. Even though that we wouldn't have. Oh no. But how was he meant to know that? Exactly. Yeah. And I think our friend group was very sort of masculine, over the top as well. Of course. So I don't know whether, even though we all did kind of talk, it wasn't like a thing where we did talk. It was more on the beers, and when that would come out was when you had 30 beers and I was crying together in the corner. Yeah. So it was very different. Yeah, it wasn't just like, going up to someone without pissing them. Yeah. Going, hey brother, I'm not fucking coping. And it all took that liquid courage for us to speak up. Yeah. I remember we'd be all sitting down at, under Sooker's house, blind. Yeah. And we'd be all sitting there crying and talking about our feelings and stuff like that. And I think about it now, and we all used to laugh about it, but we didn't understand what mental health was. I don't think. No. It wasn't spoken about, and it's not spoken about enough. And that's where Marn time and Marn business comes into it, because that's all I want to do is spread the awareness of mental health. Yeah. And I'm sure yourself, you want to spread that for your kids and your friends, and you want them to know that you're there for them. And no matter the conversation, no matter how hard, I think as a father, you want to make that conversation as easy as possible for them. Correct. Because that's all I feel. Yeah. My as I've said in several podcasts, the only rules for my son is a form of self-defense and sport. Yeah. Sport for comrades and mates and self-defense, because it's all this. Yeah. And it scares me now, being a father. I don't want him to face those same demons that I faced. And, but at some point, it may happen. I think the demons are inevitable, right? Yeah. I think it's all perspective. So what I truly believe with mental health is, if you say you kicked your toe on the edge of that thing there, right? It hurts. It hurts me different to how it hurts you. Yeah. It's perspective. I may be really good or really bad at dealing with pain. You may be really good or really bad. Some people can't deal with what's going on in their head, and some people can. It's bridging the gap of who can and who can't, and trying to figure out the middle ground. And I think it's just too dangerous to not deal with. Like, it's too dangerous to not have someone to talk to, or not be able to go and do X, Y, Z and go, oh mate, I'm struggling with this, right? Because our era, we had and not just Cody, we had a fair few boys from our school decide to check out. But it was like not even just, it was like one after another. Yeah. Like, I remember that space of 6 months. It may have been 8. Yeah. 8 people. Cody obviously stood out for me. Yep. Because we were that close. Mm-hmm. But, I had other friends like Michael Zaro and stuff like that. All those boys. Like, there was not a period where I didn't feel like it was coming, that was going to stop. Yeah. Like, because it just felt like the demons were so big for everybody else, and it just
it was like a domino effect.
Oh yeah.
There was a domino effect at that period in our life, and it was like, wow, like, oh, this is really happening.
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to deal?
And continual. Like for that period of time, it was just like it was different.
And sorry,
I don't think people understand the effect that actually has on people. Like it drags on for years and years and years. Like it's a lot of an issue, right?
I think also it opens up the demons from yourself. You're like, okay, they've made this decision to not be here no more. And then you're like, well, if it's that easy for them, because that's what your mindset's like. Okay, it was an easy decision for them to make. Obviously, it wasn't because, you know, they made a decision and they were in the dark place. But at that time, you're just like, oh, it was an easy decision for them. You know, how come it was so easy for them? Why can't it be that easy for me?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, with those demons that we all face, it's just about how we manage those demons, because they're not going to go away.
No.
You know, we're all going to have, you know, that some sort of anxiety or depression or just whatever's going on in life, just that pressure.
Yeah.
There's always that bit of pressure on you, no matter what, you know, especially, you know, I know, you know, being a dad to another dad, that pressure of being a good dad.
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah.
Is it ever?
And it's a struggle to not try and be a good dad. But on that topic of mental health, and like a couple of years ago, I'll tell you young, a couple of years ago, I was on my way to work up the top of the hill, up top of High Range. Anyway, we've come around this bend and another car had hit another car in the ass and sort of pulled over to the right. I pulled up and anyway, long story short, a fella jumped out of the car with a shotgun, turned around and blew his own face off in front of us, right? And I don't know if you have had much to do with weapons or whatever, but a shotgun's a shotgun, right? And everyone knows a shotgun, everyone's played games. What that does to a human head is phenomenal. And this is on how dangerous mental health is.
Yeah.
So I'll witness this. We watched this anyway. I've set up like a parked my truck across the front of the body. So this is about 3:30 in the afternoon. So there's going to be school buses at some point coming. So I parked the truck across the front. One of the other fellas has gone down to get like service to be able to ring an ambulance and get police involved. And obviously there's shit that needs to happen. I sent one of my employees down the road just to stop anyone that's coming with a car or kids or whatever, just so they don't have to see this, right? Because it's not a good sign. When you've put a shotgun under your chin, you could imagine the amount of debris everywhere, right?
It would have been.
The injuries were incompatible with life. This fellow was cooked. Anyway, I'm driven home. We were there for about 3 or 4 hours at the scene. I can still smell, talking about it, I can still smell the blood, right?
Yeah.
And the burnt hair and the singed smell. It's just different smells, right? Anyway, I'm driving home. No stress, everything's fine. And it wasn't till I think it was about a week or two later, I hit a kangaroo in the car. And it took me back, like I had a full panic attack, dude. I thought I'd run over a person. Yeah. Like it was all I could see was this open head. Like there was heaps of dramas. Yeah. But my issue wasn't what I'd witnessed. It brung shit up from when I was a kid that I didn't know had happened to me, which you'd buried at some point and just never spoke about it. Yeah. And man, did I go downhill fast. Like it just took me in this circle of like,
head fuck.
Oh, I might not get out of this. Yeah. And I ended up almost blowing a relationship apart. I ended up like doing things I shouldn't have done. I swallowed a heap of pills on the piss, like just trying to figure out a way of getting away from seeing this shit. And earlier that year, I'd found my uncle dead, and he'd been dead for, I don't know, 7 days or something. So it didn't look great when I'd walked in there, right? And again, that didn't affect me too much, but it was my pop's brother. Yeah. And when my pop had seen him, seeing my pop like that, who I consider like a hard, them old lads.
You know, they're immortal, brother.
Oh, dude.
They're immortal.
And to see him cry, ruined me. Yeah, I could see my uncle that way because he was old, he had a good life. I can justify it. I'm fine. It's okay. It's not good to witness that, but I'm okay with that. Yeah. Well, when I see my pop cry, I was like, that's rough as God. Like, I've never seen my pop cry. That was rough. And then it's bring that back to where I was going with it. It brought up all this stuff and I spiraled, like the mental health thing. I'm spiraling on my suffering, right? Nearly blew apart a relationship. Just, and once I'd spoke to my wife and told her sort of all what was happening, she'd come around and I wasn't as big of a dick as she thought I was being, and there was reasons behind it all, and psych started to help and all that sort of thing, right? But there was a point there where I'm just like, I'm done. How do I drag myself out of this without telling anyone what's happened to me? And anyway, I ended up speaking to Jared about it, and a few of the boys know about it now. And it's a touchy subject, right? And I'll tell you when, whatever, but it's like, now it's become a joke around the boys, and it's ball around Jared and Dan, the two dudes on the pole, right? And nothing's not going to be a joke around them.
Not around Jared, no.
But it's an unreal way of dealing with it, right?
Yeah.
Instead of getting butthurt, we just talk shit about it now, and
Yeah.
it makes it easier to deal with.
Humor's always humor's a way to deal with everything. Just, I think it's such a big thing for us. That's how we've always dealt with everything. Is humor.
Yeah. And it's hard not to, like, we know some funny dudes, right? Like some actual larrikins, like it, and it helps, man. It does. I don't care what anyone says.
Love.
If you listen to the boys, and they're just taking the piss for the next 15 minutes about what you've worn to wherever you've gone, and you are getting roasted, right? Like, there's times where I'm just like, this isn't fun.
This isn't good, yeah.
But it lifts your spirits. You can't not have a good time with everyone doing that.
That's exactly it.
And it becomes enjoyable, and you can work through stuff. And I think that's why a lot of times in relationships, and a lot of men don't get the, like, I guess for lack of the leash to go and be with the boys.
Yeah.
And go and take a piss. Because men need that, right? They need
that outlet.
They need to be around their mates. They need to be have a few beers here and go and run amok there. Yeah. And happen once every 3 months or once every 6 months, whatever. But it just
need that.
Yeah. Otherwise, you end up, and men bottle shit in.
Oh.
Women are really good at speaking their mind to you and telling you you're the worst thing that's ever happening, and then they're fine. You know what I mean?
And then you're like, yeah.
And then you can bottle, and the next thing you blow a gasket, and it's all not good.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things where the mental health, humor's massive, mates are massive.
Yeah.
And if you have that group of people that you can talk to, it changes your world.
Yeah. With yourself. That's such a, I didn't know that. That's such a traumatic period of your life. Your partner, you said, started to come around and understand it, and you said something about a psych. Did you go speak to someone yourself, or did she sort that out for you? Or?
No, I went and spoke to someone, just because I was trying to figure out what was gonna, like, why, like, whether or not my brain was telling me the right shit, like what's actually going on.
Was that hard for you to comprehend that you're like, okay, I need to go get some help?
Yeah. It's not something where you want to, right? It's not something where a fully grown man's like, I want to go and see a psych because otherwise shit's going to go sideways. Normally it's in the end of a bottle, right? It's normally in the end of a bottle, or it's a bag, or it's something that'll just make you feel better for a little bit, and then you try and get over it. But the going and seeing a psych part was massive. Like, it changed my world to an extent, made other things worse, because once you start talking about shit, stuff starts coming up that you weren't 100% sure that you'd bottled in. And once that all comes out, it can be worse, but it does get better. But the psych thing definitely helped.
Do you think it was a weight lifted off your shoulders, in a sense? Like, that was it, like, not say a weight, do you feel it helped you manage what you were going through?
To an extent.
Yeah.
To an extent it did.
But also the mates being around was a bit...
The mates thing is the reason I'm still kicking around, right? Like, it changed a lot. The psych helped with certain things. Where it didn't help is so there's a psychologist and a psychiatrist. I can't remember which is which, right?
Yeah.
One gives you drugs, one doesn't.
Yeah.
The one that gave me drugs, worst decision. The drugs sent me way worse. Like, obviously, when at one period of time drugs was awesome. Yeah. These fucking medical ones, antidepressants, put me in a hole, dude. Like, it was worse.
But that's it. Like, you go speak to a doctor, and the first thing they want to do is push a prescription on you. But when you get to that point, you're at a period where you just want to talk.
Yeah.
Yet the way that they want to deal with it is like, you need antidepressants. You need why are you trying to block what I'm feeling when I'm trying to actually, for the first time in my life, get it out?
Yeah.
That's the only reason sometimes I feel like some people are scared to go speak to a psych or a psychologist or whatever it is, because they're like, I'm not going to be on some tablets. I don't want to be on any tablets. These tablets are going to make me worse. But maybe, and at that point, you're ready to speak.
Yeah. And dude, the tablets made me worse. They put me in a hole. Then I was trying to get out of the hole by taking more of them. Like, it was a downward spiral there. You couldn't get away from it. So once I stopped taking the tablets and I went to the right one, so there's a psychologist and a psychiatrist. Can't remember which is which.
Yeah.
Whichever one don't give you the drugs is the one you go to talk to.
Yeah.
Because the drugs given one is not a fun time.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't recommend that shit to anyone.
Yeah.
But the one that doesn't give you the drugs and they try and talk through stuff with you, and they're handy. They give you just certain things to be like breathing techniques, just certain things to be able to help with certain things, right? Yep. And then at that point I was getting massive panic attacks, dude, like massive. Every time I'd hit an animal and see shit, it would bring all these flashbacks back, and then shit when I was a kid, and I was like, I can't deal with this stuff. And once she kind of helped me get through that period of time, and once I could start dealing with it, then we started to work our way back to where I'm at now.
That's awesome to hear, Bella. Because, that to me, like, for me and for the people that I know that know you, for you were individual. That's the persona you gave, and for you to be that vulnerable for me now and to talk to me and tell me that it's an honor to be able to sit here with you, and also the fact that you've come out of it and now you can talk about it. And I know you're an advocate for mental health. You know, otherwise you wouldn't be sitting down having a yarn with me. You know what I mean? But I'm just going to say I'm proud of you, man, because like that is something to be proud of. And I know, you know, as you said, you know, your kids probably didn't see all that.
No.
But you know, and then I think that's a good thing. But also, you know, it's something that you can teach them that, hey, Dad wasn't always like this. There's going to be parts in life where you're not going to be able to, you know, everything's not going to go all the way you want it. So here's some tips to help you move forward in life.
Yeah. Thank you for being proud of me.
No, man.
But the craziest part, what you just said, and this is a big reason why when Alex asked, I said, yeah, I'll come on, that's no stress, is the fact, exactly what you said, right? People see me as however they see me. Our friend group see me whichever way they see me, right? Which is awesome, and it's a persona, and everyone's got that persona. Like everyone knows that you were an animal. Everyone knows Alex was wild. Like everyone knows these certain Trent was crazy. Like there's certain things that people know, or that they think they know. But what I was trying to get at with coming on here is it doesn't matter who is who. Everyone deals with something. Yeah. And just check in. Like at some point, just go, hey, what's happening, brother? How you doing? Yeah. At some point,
you don't know what a message can do for someone.
No, God no. And I've actually done this too. So, fun story about what a message can do to someone. I did this. I messaged someone we all know ages ago, and he was running down the mental health train. Like, if anyone needs me, just reach out, right? And I reached out. I was like, hey, brother, how you doing? Like, I'd like to catch up, right? And I didn't get a message back. And that put me backwards from talking for a long time, dude. Like, and I was like, that's weird. Because he was preaching that, right? Yeah. So I was like, oh, I'll reach out. Who knows where he said it. Anyway, he never got back to me or whatever, which is whatever. But then it like half sort of made me stumble and not want to talk to people about, because I was like, oh, maybe I've read that wrong, sort of thing, you know? Yep. But it's important, man. It's important just to check on people, no matter, even if it's, we were just yarning about one of our mates before who punched on anyone, not scared of no one, like a man's man. I check on him frequently. Like, you just check on people. Doesn't matter who. You just don't know. You don't know what anybody's going through. Yeah, it's important, man. Because everybody can put a front up. It is. I think for men, that is one of the easiest things we can do. You know, as you said, women talk. You know, women are able to talk to their sisters or their best friends, and for us, we put on such a front and be like, "I'm okay. I'm all good. I'm all good." But deep down, we're dying inside. Yeah. And I think that's where me yarning to you now, and I yarn to Alex, and I yarn to Joe and Will and the other boys from Marn business, and anybody that has anything to do with us. That's all I want to do, is to be able to make the conversation as easy as possible. Whether it's like, hey brother, how are you? And they go, oh, I'm not good. You get to that point and you're like, I don't know what to say to this person. Yeah. That's why I want to do my certs in mental health, because then I can be like, hey mate, how are you? I'm not doing too good. Hey, what's going on, brother? Like, you want to talk to me about it? If you don't want to talk to me, that's okay, but I'm here. That to say to someone is still so hard. Yeah. To be able to let someone know that you're there, because you're accepting what they got going on, and you don't know what they got going on. It could impact your life, because it's a weight. It's still another weight. But I think that's where us boys trying to get around this whole mental health movement and make something happen is the right way of life at the moment. Because as you said, you're going to the gym now. That's a massive impact on your life. That's your outlet at the moment. Fishing, being around your kids, and motocross. Being around my son. Watching footy. Hanging around my mates. Even catching up now. Like, this is such an awesome feeling. Yep. We're talking about some dark and heavy subjects, but to be able to sit here and have a chat to you about it, it feels right. You know what I mean? It does. Because as you said, we don't catch up all the time. We catch up to the gym, or we always say, oh, we'll organise and do something, but it's just so hard. We've all got our own lives going on. You bump into somebody, and as I said, we bump into each other. We pick up from where we left off. Right. Talking before we even started the camera, we were having the funniest yarns about the shit that we used to do. Yep. Even just bringing that up, like, made me feel good. Oh, even, for sure. Even though I knew what we're going to talk about, it was just, it brings the brighter side out in everybody. Having those mates around that can just have a yarn and talk shit and, be around. But even these heavy subjects, right? You get in a room, me and you, we've been mates forever, we've known each other for a very long time. You get in a room with boys that you know, and them heavy subjects become less heavy. It just is that way. It becomes less heavy when you can talk to someone about that stuff. And it makes. I know it's contradicting of itself, but it makes no sense not to talk. But it's so fucking hard to. Does that make it? Make that make sense?
It makes sense, man.
Yeah, it's just funny. I don't. Yeah,
that's just the way we're built, man. We are built to carry the burden of everything that's going on around us. You're the man. You got to provide. Mm-hmm. That's just whether it's like that or not. That's just your mindset.
Yeah.
But I see another bloke winning in life, and I'm thinking, fuck, how can I get there?
Yeah.
We all do it. We all do it. Whether we mean to do it or not, we all sit there and look at another bloke that's having a good section of their life. What were they going through 10 years ago? Mm-hmm. We don't know. They've got themselves to this point and they're like, okay, I can do this now. And I don't sit down and put down anyone that's winning in life because I love it. If my mates are winning, even randoms on the street, if they're having a win in life, that's awesome, man. Mm-hmm. Like, it's good to see and it makes me feel good. And then I'll sit there and I'll go home and be like, fuck, I need to pull my finger out and make something happen.
Yeah.
But also that's put another pressure on my back being like, come on, you dickhead, do something. But it is what it is, you know. But also I just love the fact that we can sit down now and have a yarn. Because to me, that is better than any therapist.
Definitely.
I feel like it should be normalised so much more without alcohol.
Correct.
Because as I said, again, you know, we used to get that much alcohol into us and we'd sit down and cry and talk about all our feelings. We'd wake up in the morning and be like, oh, yeah.
Never a hunt. No, it was...
Exactly right. And that's where I'd love to be able to sit down with, you know, not sit down with all the boys or all the boys, whatever. Just sit down and yarn. Yeah. You know, catch up for a breakfast or something. Like, you know, we don't need alcohol anymore. Yeah. Alcohol's good in the sense of like catching up and having a few beers, but you know, just doing something different, you know, like life's changed. So much compared to what it was.
That's why I like this. The Marn is unreal, right? Because at some point, I hope it's big enough where you can do a golf day and you've got 60 of the boys there just go and play golf. Yeah. Everyone gets on the piss after, or during, or whatever. Exactly right. But when everyone gets there for breakfast to go and play the golf, everyone's just standing around catching up, having a yarn, and that you don't know what that can help either. You know, like just everyone there having that good time. Yeah, that might. Someone the day before might have been not in a good spot, and now they've gone and played golf. Yeah. They've been around all the boys. They've got on the piss that night with all the boys, and now they're fine. Some people, that's all it takes.
That's all it takes, Just takes that hard reset.
Correct. Yeah. And I struggled heaps back to the Cody one. Yeah. When I stepped away and kind of took a step back from everyone because I didn't want to be around everyone and I was blaming people and not for what happened, but blaming people as in like, I don't want to be around you. Yeah. Like, because you remind me too much, then that's your fault. Yeah. It's my fault. I couldn't deal with it. I was too young. Yeah. It's not their fault that they reminded me of that time. You know what I mean? But at that point, you're too immature to deal with it. Yeah. And if I can go back to then, like I wonder how different all of us would have been if we'd just come together for a longer period of time and been able to have them yarns. You know what I mean?
I think it would have became a lot more manageable. Yes. A lot faster for everybody.
Faster would have been that's probably correct.
Because we would have been able to, you know, talk about it a lot easier with everyone. Yeah. And I can, you know, I can only say for myself how I felt. You know, I can't sit there and tell anybody how it felt for anybody else. But as I said, like at that period in Townsville, it was like a dark cloud was over it. Yeah, and, you know, mental health was affecting so many people we never thought it would.
Yeah, correct.
Let's be honest, Cody was the last person we thought it was going to affect. You know, he was the life of the party. Yeah. If anybody says otherwise, they didn't know.
They weren't there.
They weren't there because he was the life of the party. Yeah.
You can't have 50 different friend groups and not be the life.
Exactly right. You know,
that does not work like that.
But that's it. You know. I was with you. You know, I was so angry at him and so mad and so. Why'd you do that? You know, you left not only me, you left your family. Yep. But as you said, we don't know what the real reasons. Yeah. You know, the only one person that knows is. Yep. You know, everybody can sit there and have an idea. Yeah. It's only speculation. And that's where I think the maturity has come in now.
Definitely.
And I'm like, okay, I've come to terms with it. Now I'm going to use it to fuel what this is for me. Yeah. And, you know, as I said, this yarn is one of the best things that's happened to me in a while. You know, sitting down just with a mate, you know, that I haven't caught up with properly for a while and just having a yarn. Yeah. You know, and you know, as I said, heavy subjects, but it's awesome. It's a good feeling. But I'm just so glad that I can now manage what happened then and use it for good. Because for a so long period of time, I used it for all the bad reasons. I'm going out and getting fucked up because I'm not feeling okay. I'm going out and getting on drugs because I'm not feeling okay. You know, and I did use it. I fucking abused it. And I abused it, and I sat there and I made that my excuse. And I'm so angry at myself for doing that. But at that time, I didn't know how to deal with mental health. I didn't know that what happened to him was making me suffer as well.
You know, that is a good way of putting that.
I didn't know.
But you know, and I was just thinking when you were talking, you imagine how different it would have been if we all got together and went camping.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Or we all got together and went fishing, or we did something other than just go straight back to town and try and drown all them issues. Right?
Exactly right.
Side note, I was just thinking, Brother Joe needs less muscles. Someone need to put no more singles for that fella. I seen him in the gym the other day. I seen him with Alex Millem. No more singles.
No more singles. His arms are just massive.
Yeah.
He just needs to stay away from the gym for a little bit.
I'm about off him.
But in saying that, even if he didn't go to the gym, he'd probably just still get bigger.
I'm not his biggest fan. You walk around with them hanging off you, I'm dirty, you know? I spent a lot of time in that gym trying to get like that.
But nah, someone on the lighter note, brother, you know, thanks for talking about the heavy hidden questions, but on a lighter note, what's some things that are up and coming for yourself, you know, other than, I know you got some races coming up and, you know, your son's pretty good on the court. Yeah, the oldest fella, so he's sort of lives and breathes basketball. My dad played basketball, my uncle played basketball. Now my oldest son's playing basketball, and he's 13. He's just over 6 foot, so 14 foot. Like he's a big kid, right? But he's got a few things coming up. He's playing rep basketball, Townsville rep basketball. He's doing a few things like that. Just trying to deal with him again, his mental health, and him trying to come out of this this pocket of it's not cool to put effort in, and he's like everything's just he's just too cool for everything, you know? He's too good. Yeah. It's annoying, and his attitude's sort of hindered him a little bit because of that, thinking he'd delete and all that sort of stuff. So once he gets that, like he tried out for Queensland this year, he made a squad or whatever it was and didn't make the team, but that's probably my fault too. Before that, I'd sort of got banned from basketball for carrying on there for a little bit and all that sort of stuff. So there was probably an after effect of that. Just again, not being able to deal with shit in my own head, stupid decisions, right? But he's got that coming up. He's got like a state championship down in Logan. That's in the next couple of weeks. But my youngest fella, he's playing basketball as well and riding now. He's starting to race dirt bike, so this will be his first season of full racing. So I'll follow him out and take him to a lamb, and we'll go racing and that. And then my oldest boy's going to race when he's not playing basketball, and so just try and go a bit more that route. Great sports, very family orientated. Just stuck in a car together, you go somewhere, your family spends the time together riding dirt bikes, and then you just come home together. Right, it's a very family orientated sport. And it's not like basketball or footy or any of these where you go, they play, you come home. Like you'll travel for a day to get to wherever the race is. You'll race on Sunday, then you'll travel all the way home. So you get the takeaway, and kids love it, right? It's a good time. But yeah, I've got a few of that coming up. My daughter does a lot of dance, so she does Highland dancing. And unfortunately for me, she's the superstar of the family. Like she just keeps winning everything she goes in, which is annoying because I'm going to go and watch her play, like dance all this stuff. And then I'm getting into this Highland dancing. I don't even know what this thing, right? So I'm super competitive with the old Highland dancing now. And I'm telling her what she needs to be done. I've got no idea what I'm doing. But she enjoys it, man. She loves it. She's got 50-something medals, like first place medals. Like she keeps winning a lot of stuff. So that's wicked. The trajectory for that. And then my youngest boy, Koa, he's going to be a handful. Yeah, he's got issues, right? Like issues. You just be laying there, Dad, what? And he just hit you. Punch? What, no punching. No more punching. No more punching. But that's me.
Yeah. He's chaos. It's good, but my oldest foster daughter, she's at uni doing forensic science and I think something to do with psych stuff. Do you know where they check on or I don't know what she does, man. I went to Cohen High.
Going out of it. Come on.
She's a lot smarter than I was. She definitely didn't go to Cohen, that's for sure. She went to Ryan. But nah, she's doing good. Kids are killing it. The missus is killing it. She looks after me, so she's lucky as, you know?
Yeah.
But other than that.
See, brother, it's good to see like
family life.
Like I just, pop checking on Facebook and see him. Like, he's killing it, man. And I love to see it, bro. You know?
It's been good.
I've got a quick question. How is it being a father of a daughter, brother?
Well, especially for me.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, fuck, man.
Yeah, look, it's gonna bite me in the ass, isn't it? I did. Yeah. Without saying too much, you know what I was like. I try and make up for that kind of. But man, it's always gonna bite me now. She's fucking tan, blonde hair, blue eyes. She's a gorgeous little girl. Now I've got to deal with. And that's what I said. Dude, you bring someone home like me, I'm tuning him before he gets through the door. Like, you're not walking into my house with a me. That's not happening.
At least you got a 6-foot son that can stand in front of the door now, brother. You know.
Yeah, it's gonna. You know what's gonna be the issue is when they walk to the door. It's gonna look like that scene out of
Bad Boys.
Bad Boys.
Yeah.
Except my son's bigger than me. I'd be dirty as a Yeah. But no, it'll be right. Yeah, it's the daughter thing, man. Is a spin out, right? Yeah. The hardest but the coolest thing to deal with.
Is she a daddy's girl?
Yeah, she was forever, and now she's a daddy's girl, but not as much as because Mum and her have bonded over the Highland dancing because my missus did Highland dancing and she was deli at that.
Yeah.
Now my daughter's really good at that, so they've kind of found their little niche and they've bonded over it. But and she's turned into a girl, right? She's 6 years old, so she's starting to get an attitude and be a girl. But when she wants to have fun, she comes see dad. Everything else is mum. She's a mum's girl, but she's cool and tough.
I could tell your kids one thing: if they want fun, go see.
Yeah. Especially when they get older.
Yeah, that's it. But they got plenty of uncles that can show them a good time too. So.
Yeah. And I'll still be young enough when I was 18, I'll be partying. Me and Jared will be twerking somewhere. Look to the right, he'll see me with my feet on the wall somewhere there.
I can definitely say Jared will be there too.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He'll be there throwing his back clean out, that's all.
He's got a sore back and all already, you throw it out.
Get sore watching him, you know?
No, it's good, man. I love the fact that, like, you know, you're doing so well.
Thank you.
I do, man. It's a good thing to see. It's a heartwarming feeling because, you know, I seen you at a pretty bad time in your life. Not that we went our separate ways, but, you know, we went through the Cody situation and, you know, we went through life and we'd always check in and see how we're doing. But it's good to see you winning, brother. It really is.
Thank you.
Nah, I really mean it, man. But brother, I really appreciate this yarn, eh?
You're welcome. Anytime.
I do, man.
Anytime.
But yeah, I just want to thank everybody for listening. Again, Kyle, thank you, brother, for the conversation. Anything else that, you know, you want to touch on before we shut the camera off? No.
You just invite me back. I'll come out another yarn anytime as well.
Definitely have you up. No, again, brother, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for more episodes and more special guests.